Hello, ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again. We are doing the Navamsha series. Just a quick word before we get into the deep dive. As the Earth goes through these monumental tectonic plate level shifts of energy that we are all feeling, if you're sensitive, you are feeling this a lot. The sun's activity and the energy that is bombarding the Earth right now. As we go through this shift, as individual, as collective, we will need a whole new tool set. The tool set is what I'm bringing through this channel, through these mediums. And so it will help you uncover what is hidden in your chart as your internal self. Since we are talking about Navamsha, it's the internal self. So what I suggest here you do, ignore your natal chart for a time being. Just study your Navamsha chart, and with whatever principles I'm giving, planets, points, aspects, whatever you know about astrology, Vedic astrology, just study that. Study that, become a student of your Navamsha. Very, very crucial for you to become a student of this so that you can find and uncover something. If you find something interesting in your Navamsha, or if you want to ask some more details, you can always drop in a comment. But you have to take the aspect, or you have to understand it in a way that you ignore the natal. First, just study the internal self, how you are, what's your machinery. It's like trying to understand your car. You just bought a new car, let's say, and you want to understand how this new car works. What's its machinery? Where is the engine of this car? What drives it? What pisses it off? What brings it joy? You're thinking of your car as your living being, for example. Okay, now let's study about Gemini Navamsha. Gemini is everything itching. You are itching to do something. Your internal itch, if planets and points are sitting in your Gemini Navamsha, is indicated. You're not afraid to take risks here. Whatever planets come here, you want to work from your hands and develop the skill sets. Like the third house, we continuously work in Gemini Navamsha. If Saturn is sitting here, it will involve a lot of paperwork. You're good at finding loopholes and faults in everything. Gemini always finds a way around in things in life. If your planets and points here, let's say Mercury in Gemini Navamsha, your intellect is very sharp at finding loopholes in everything. And the way you present yourself, appearance is Gemini. The way you present yourself to the world, the way you express your ideas, gossip. That's where Gemini gets debilitated. Too much of gossip, too much of talking ill about your neighbors, friends, social media, commenting on this and that and the other. You got to stop that if you want to improve your Mercury, by the way, in a general principle. The way you express ideas, make it constructive. Use your Jupiter, for example. Also, Gemini is an underground kind of a zodiac sign. So this is why Gemini Rashi will always keep resources where it is hidden. If planets and points are here, if Venus is here, you'll keep your wealth hidden, for example. Gemini also stands for laziness. You don't want to kind of do any work, sit back and just comment on other people. The thing about laziness in general, I have seen, even with myself, we are all human, isn't it? If you try to get lazy about things, you end up becoming critical of others doing the same things. Why? Well, I can share my perspective on it. The reason is because you are not doing things yourself. You know you can, in your internal universe, know you can deliver something better than the other person. Yet you are sitting on your ass, not doing anything about it. So it creates the itching in your head that becomes negatively translated to gossip. This is where you got to be careful about Gemini Navamsha. You are curious. You need to investigate, not be reactive. Planets in Gemini Navamsha get very, very reactive. They react to every single thing. If Mars is here, you'll become very aggressive in your speech, for example. You want to react. It's a reactionary sign in Navamsha, okay? So take care of this part of internal self. If malefics are placed here, like Saturn in Gemini Navamsha, you'll be an extremely lazy person because the Saturn makes a person lazy, isn't it? It's a slow planet. For Gemini Navamsha to improve your communication is important. Improve your communication skills. Take some 10 classes of communication skills. Okay, there are tons of them, good ones on net. If female planets like Venus and Moon are here, they will hesitate to speak up openly and suffer as a result. These kind of aspects will play out. If you find something interesting in your chart, leave a comment wherever you are. Let's get into the deep dive of planets, all the 9 planets now. Listen in.
Navamsha, as internal self, after 30 years maturity, after marriage. The Gemini Navamsha. Before we step into the Gemini Navamsha, return with me for a moment to the deeper logic of Navamsha and Jyotish. Your D1 chart is the life you perform. Your D9 is the life you live internally. It is the subtle architecture beneath behavior, the way your inner self responds when your outer shell ages, matures, softens, and becomes more real. After Saturn returns your karmic report card around 30, you can no longer hide behind borrowed conditioning. And in marriage, where someone witnesses your barest psychology, your Navamsha rises to the surface like ink meeting water. It shows the truth. Gemini Navamsha is where that truth becomes fluid, curious, playful, restless, and mentally alive. It's where your soul begins speaking in many languages at once. If Taurus is the soil that stabilizes you after 30, Gemini is the wind that wakes you. It pushes you to talk, exchange, express, experiment, observe, adapt, and rewire your perspective continuously. A planet in Gemini Navamsha does not remain still. It evolves into a mental traveler after 30, shifting identities, roles, relationships, interests, and beliefs with charming ease. Gemini Navamsha is the soul's internal duality. It wants freedom of thought. It wants conversation. It wants learning that never ends. It wants lightness where life has been heavy before. And marriage becomes the most vivid mirror for this, because your spouse becomes your conversational partner, your debate sparring opponent, your intellectual mirror, your audience, your twin. If your planets fall here, you become someone whose internal self matures through dialogue, not silence, through ideas, not rules, through exploration, not rigidity. Now let's walk through each planet as it actually behaves in lived experience. Sun in Gemini Navamsha, the identity that learns and multiplies. When the sun lands here, your identity becomes multi-layered after 30. You no longer fit into one role. You inhabit many. You become curious about yourself, about others, about the world. Do you feel your ego becoming more flexible now? Do you find multiple passions emerging? This sun expresses itself through voice, writing, teaching, movement, and adaptability. If the sun sits in the 3rd house of the Navamsha, your confidence grows through communication, podcasts, conversations, debates. If it sits in the 11th, you step into networks, communities, collaborations, where your mind becomes your magnet. Moon in Gemini Navamsha, the mind that needs motion. A moon here becomes emotionally restless, but beautifully alive after 30. You no longer want emotional heaviness. You want stimulation, ideas, laughter, stories. Do you notice your mind craving novelty? Do you feel calmer when you have multiple things happening at once? Marriage becomes a relationship of dialogue, shared curiosity, shared learning. If this moon sits in the 1st house of D9, your emotional identity becomes light, witty, adaptive. In the 7th house, marriage becomes a place of constant communication. If the talking stops, the relationship suffocates. Mars in Gemini Navamsha. The warrior of words, Mars here fights with the tongue, not the sword. After 30, your aggression becomes verbal, sharp, witty, strategic. Do you notice arguments becoming cleverer, not louder? Do you feel your desire manifest through words, ideas, persuasion? Sexuality also becomes more mental. The mind must be engaged before the body moves. If Mars sits in the 3rd house, you become a bold communicator, persuasive and provocative. In the 9th house, you challenge belief systems, question teachers, and pursue unconventional knowledge paths. Mercury in Gemini Navamsha. The mastermind, reborn Mercury, thrives here. After 30, your mind becomes brilliant, flexible, curious, and childlike in the best way. Do you feel yourself becoming younger mentally as you age? Do ideas come faster? Conversations become richer? Learning feels easier? Marriage becomes a talk-filled relationship, full of humor, analysis, commentary, banter. If Mercury sits in the 2nd house, your speech becomes articulate and persuasive, a natural storyteller. In the 10th, your career shifts toward communication-based roles, writing, marketing, education, consulting, media. Jupiter in Gemini Navamsha, the philosopher who asks questions. Jupiter in Gemini Navamsha becomes a seeker of endless answers. After 30, your wisdom no longer sits in dogma. It lives in curiosity. Do you notice your belief systems loosening? Are you suddenly open to perspectives you once dismissed? This placement teaches through stories, humor, examples, and questions. If Jupiter sits in the fifth house, you become a teacher who delights in ideas and creative expression. In the ninth, your spiritual path becomes eclectic, playful, exploratory, and intellectually rich. Venus in Gemini Navamsha. The lover of minds, Venus here desires mental connection above all else. After 30, love becomes a conversation. Attraction begins through words, wit, texts, shared ideas. Do you feel your relationships becoming lighter, freer, more playful? You need emotional intelligence, humor, and openness more than intense passion. If Venus sits in the seventh house, your marriage feels like a friendship with romance woven through it. In the third house, you express affection through messages, conversations, communication artistry, and shared learning. Saturn in Gemini Navamsha. The disciplined student Saturn here matures into a structured thinker. After 30, your mind becomes serious but incredibly sharp. You learn slowly but permanently. You speak less but with weight. Do you feel your opinions forming through careful examination? Does your communication become more precise? If Saturn sits in the sixth house, you become a meticulous problem solver with disciplined communication. In the 10th, your career evolves into roles that require structured thinking, analysis, research, systems design, long-term teaching. Rahu in Gemini Navamsha. The mind that hungers for more, Rahu here, becomes mentally insatiable. After 30, you want to know everything. Psychology, technology, communication, human behavior, languages, content. Do you feel your curiosity becoming limitless? Your adaptability increasing? Your desire to expand your mind exploding? If Rahu sits in the first house, you reinvent your personality through constant learning and communication. In the 10th, you rise in fields of media, education, tech, data, or anything that demands intelligence and cleverness. Ketu in Gemini Navamsha. The quiet observer Ketu here creates a mind that is brilliant but prefers silence. After 30, you detach from gossip and chatter, but retain deep insight. Do you find yourself speaking less but understanding more? Do conversations drain you unless they are meaningful? If Ketu sits in the fifth house, creativity becomes abstract, intuitive, unpredictable. In the eighth house, you hold deep psychological insight and silent analytical power. Gemini Navamsha asks you a question once Saturn matures your soul. Are you willing to evolve your mind, to change your perspectives, to communicate your truth, and to let curiosity lead you into a deeper version of yourself? Because once you say yes, your internal self wakes up like a bird that suddenly realizes the cage door was open all along. I'll see you in the next Navamsha. Meanwhile, you take very good care of yourself today.